Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We've had some great games this past Thursday and Friday, but the best games start today, the first Saturday of college football, and carry on through Monday when we conclude with Virginia Tech at Florida State. And like we did last year, we're going to go ahead and break down the best games of the week, and this is something you can expect as the season goes on, where we break down the best games of each week with some extra analysis and maybe some different predictions depending on how we see the season going. So we didn't do that last year. We didn't go through and change our predictions. We stuck with them, but we might be able to do that a little bit this year. And before we get started, there's a couple announcements. Last year we did our teams trending up and trending down, and we also had our Heisman Watch. The Heisman Watch will begin after Week 3. Now, we're not even done with Week 1 yet. The best games, like I said, start today. So after Week 3, we'll start doing our Heisman Watch like we did last year. And after Week 2 is over, we will start doing our teams trending up and trending down. So make sure you are looking out for that. So we're going to kick things off here, breaking down number 6 Washington versus number 9 Auburn. That's at 2:30 this Saturday. And this is the game that I think I'm looking forward to the most. A top 10 matchup. We've got 4 ranked versus ranked matchups over the course of these next 3 days. And this is a huge one for on the national stage. And both of these teams trying to make the college football playoff this year. I personally do have Washington making my top 4 at the end of the season. And this is a game that I really could see being an offensive shootout. You've got a great offense in Washington led by Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin, a great offensive-minded coach, and Chris Peterson. And on the other side of the ball, you've got Auburn led by another great coach, offensive-minded Gus Malzahn, and then Jarrett Stidham, a very solid quarterback. This is Auburn's 3rd straight game playing in Atlanta, losing the previous 2, the first to Georgia in the SEC championship game, and the second one, of course, in the Peach Bowl to the national champions, Central Florida. So hopefully they can break that losing streak in Atlanta against Washington here. And like I said, I expect this game to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I do think Auburn owns the edge on the defensive side of the ball, especially along the defensive line, but I do think Washington owns the edge on the offensive side of the ball. Auburn does have a solid offense, but they lost some key wide receivers due to injury, lost some star running backs. So Jarrett Stidham's going to have to do a lot in this game. I think they're going to have to win this game through the air, which means Washington should be able to kind of hone in on the passing game. Hopefully their secondary will step up. I'm not going to change my prediction here. I'm sticking with the Huskies to get a huge opening win over a top 10 opponent in Week 1. So like I said, this is going to be an exciting game. I think one of the best of the entire weekend. If you like high-scoring games, a very fast-paced game, this is the game for you, but I'm sticking with the Huskies to get the win here. Our second biggest game of Saturday and of this weekend is number 17 West Virginia versus Tennessee, and that game going to be played in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is a big game for the Tennessee fans and just the Tennessee nation. Jeremy Pruitt making his debut with the Volunteers after that crazy coaching carousel that we had during the offseason. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they go up against this West Virginia team that I have as a dark horse in the Big 12, could potentially win 9 wins, maybe 10 wins, maybe could try to compete for the Big 12 championship, and maybe some people have them maybe being a dark horse for the college football playoff. I'm not going that far, but I do believe that they have the best quarterback in the entire nation with Will Grier, and assuming he can stay healthy, he did get hurt at the end of last year, he's going to put up some phenomenal stats for the Mountaineers, one of the better offenses, I think, in the entire nation, a great wide receiving core going to be led by David Sills there. The key for them is going to be their defense. So I believe the spread for this game is West Virginia by about 9.5 to 10 points. And it's going to be interesting to see if Tennessee can keep it there because Jeremy Pruitt, a defensive-minded coach coming over as defensive coordinator from Alabama, hopefully he can get things rolling for the Volunteers here. I'm a little concerned about their offense depending on who's starting at quarterback. I believe it's going to be Jarrett Garantano, but maybe he'll get, you never know. Maybe they're going to play 2 quarterbacks. Keller Chris, the transfer from Stanford. I do like him a lot. So I'm curious to see how this Tennessee offense adjusts after a horrendous year last year. I'm still sticking with West Virginia, though. I do think they're going to win this game by at least 10 points. I think it's going to be a solid start for the Volunteers. I think they're going to start this game strong. Kirk Herbstreit even has them beating the Mountaineers. I just don't see it, though. I don't think they're to the point yet where they're going to be able to shut down one of the best offenses in the nation in the first week of the season. So I'm sticking with the Mountaineers and what should be an exciting one there. And then the second game that I'm probably the biggest game that I'm looking forward to, besides Washington and Auburn, Michigan and Notre Dame. First time they've met, I believe, since 2014. This game is going to be played at South Bend, not at a neutral site like these previous 2 games. And unlike Washington and Auburn, I could see this game being very low scoring. And this is one of those games where it's really a pick-em game. This one could really go either way. Both these teams have a solid defense, in my opinion. Michigan definitely owning the edge over the Fighting Irish. on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to have one of the best defenses in the entire nation. But they have some struggles on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, Shea Patterson is going to be their quarterback. And a lot of people think he's going to come in and make a huge difference. I think it's good that Michigan has found some stability at the quarterback position. But his first career start with a new team under a new system is going to be on the road at South Bend at night. That's not your ideal start for a brand new quarterback. So it's going to be a very hostile environment. Notre Dame, on the other hand, solid defense, not as good as Michigan's though, but I think they own the edge on the offensive side of the ball. A quarterback that has a little more experience with his team, with his system. It's at home. And I picked Notre Dame early on in the season when I did my predictions. I'm sticking with Notre Dame in this one as well. I expect this game to be fairly low scoring, but the win's going to go to the Fighting Irish. And another thing you have to keep in mind with this game, you've got two head coaches here that aren't necessarily on the hot seat, but the loser of this game could be working their way towards there. I know some Michigan fans are unhappy with Jim Harbaugh, the way things have been going with him. Hasn't beaten Ohio State yet. He was close to college football playoff a couple years ago. Horrible year last year. I wouldn't say horrible. 8 wins isn't bad, but disappointing year last year. And then Brian Kelly for Notre Dame just hasn't been able to get over the hump. Made the national championship in 2012, but since then have had a couple up and down years. This is a year that both of these teams really need to break through and show that they can compete for the college football playoff. And both these coaches need this win in week 1. So you've got a bunch of factors at play here. A very exciting one, but I'm going with the 12th ranked Fighting Irish to get the win over the Wolverines. And then Louisville versus number 1 Alabama. This might not be one of the most exciting games, but anytime you've got the number 1 team in the nation playing, it's always a big deal. And Louisville even coming out and saying that they think they're going to beat Alabama. Bobby Petrino said that, yes, we think we're going to beat Alabama. You've got Louisville playmakers, the wide receivers, saying that they think they're better than their entire secondary, that they're going to exploit the Alabama defense. And I'm just saying from past knowledge, from watching previous games, that anytime you call out Alabama like that, it usually doesn't go well for you. Alabama's a 24-point favorite for a reason in this game, and I'm sticking with the Tide. I think Louisville, had they kept Lamar Jackson, had Lamar Jackson still been here, this game would be a little more interesting. See how the Alabama defense, as young as they are, trying to contain him, would be a lot more fun to watch for sure. But Louisville bringing in a new quarterback, yes, they do have a solid wide receiving core, but not a super strong defense. Alabama should get the win here. Question is, Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts? But regardless, I think Alabama gets the win in week 1. I do think it's going to be Tagovailoa that starts for the Crimson Tide. Then Sunday night, a game that we've all been waiting for, one that we've just been dying to see, number 8 Miami versus number 25 LSU. So much smack talk between these two fan bases over the course of the entire summer leading up to this game. Obviously one of the bigger games of the entire week. And I said in my AP video that I did not think LSU deserved to be ranked. I felt like South Carolina kind of got snubbed by LSU. South Carolina should be ranked ahead of the Tigers. But this is a game where LSU has a chance to prove themselves, to show, yes, we deserve to be ranked. Yes, some people aren't too high on us this year, like myself, and we're going to go in there and beat number 8 team in the country in Miami. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think the Hurricanes' defense is, once again, like Notre Dame and Michigan, this could be a fairly low-scoring game because you've got two very solid defenses, in my opinion, with LSU and Miami. But I think Miami owns the edge on offense, much like I do think with Notre Dame. Michigan's got a better defense. Notre Dame's got a better offense. I think LSU's got a better defense, but Miami's got a better offense. They've got a better quarterback position with Malik Rozier there. I know some people aren't as high on him as I am. I'm not super high on him, but a lot of people just don't like him that much. But LSU's bringing in Joe Burrow from Ohio State, his first career start with the Tigers. He's looked good in practice in camp, but it's going to be a huge, different environment. You're going to play at Arlington. You're in Texas at Dallas Stadium, Cowboy Stadium, in a neutral site field against a very tough defense with your first start with a new team, much like Shea Patterson with Michigan. This is going to be a very exciting game. I can see this game being low scoring. I'm giving the edge to the Hurricanes, though. I think in the end, the offense is going to be the one that's going to be able to generate enough plays and enough, able to exploit the LSU defense in the end to get a very close and narrow victory over the Tigers. So that's going to be one that's really fun to watch. I'm very excited to see this. Ed Ogeron, another coach that could be working towards the hot seat if he were to lose this season opener. And then Monday night, closing out the first week of college football, number 20 Virginia Tech and number 19 Florida State. This game big because it's Willie Taggart's debut with the Seminoles. And DeAndre Francois back. You got to keep that in mind. He got hurt last year in the season opener against Alabama, was out the entire year, and now he's back. And some people are even saying that they could maybe challenge Clemson for that division title now that Francois is back at quarterback. We're going to have to see how he does, though, in his return. But it's huge that Willie Taggart gets his game at home. It's huge this is an ACC matchup to kick off the year. So what better way to get your quarterback back, a new head coach at home on a Monday night, the only game of the day, and get a win over an ACC rival. I'm very excited for this game. But Justin Fuente and his team with another star quarterback and Josh Jackson are not going to come in there and just roll over. They're going to give Florida State a fight. And anytime you get a new head coach, it's always a little hesitant, always a little scary to see how a team does and responds with a new scheme and stuff like that. I'm still sticking with my prediction that I did earlier. I'm still giving the edge to Florida State. A lot of that has to do with Francois and it being at home. I do like Virginia Tech this year. I don't have them doing extremely well, but I think in the end, this Florida State offense is going to have enough to go up against this Bud Foster Virginia Tech defense, put up enough points to get the win, and having that home crowd on their side is going to be huge for them. So I'm not changing any predictions now. Obviously, no need to. Nothing big has happened yet. No crazy coaching changes or firings or injuries yet. But maybe later on in the season we can do that. A couple of other games that you might want to watch that aren't up here on the big board. Obviously, you've got Texas at Maryland. That's big because of what's been going on at Maryland over these past couple of weeks. So to see how the Terrapins kind of respond, and also the fact that Texas lost at home last year to Maryland in the first game of the Tom Herman era. That's something to keep your eye on there. Then Oregon State at number 5, Ohio State, obviously, because of what's been going on at Ohio State. Urban Meyer being suspended for the first 3 games. I don't think Ohio State's going to lose this game to Oregon State, but how are they going to respond and play against an Oregon State team that's also trying to rebuild with a new head coach? So obviously, it's going to be at home. Ohio State's going to get the win, but just something to keep your eye on. Obviously, it's going to be in the news to see how they respond without their head coach, especially for the first 3 games. And we'll touch more on the Ohio State stuff when they face off against TCU in Week 3. That's a much bigger game and a much tougher challenge for the Buckeyes. So here are our biggest games of the week, are pretty much our top 6 games for Week 1. Plenty of others out there to watch, though, that you're not going to want to miss. It's a whole weekend straight of college football, 5 straight days. We've already got 2 down. We got 3 to go. It's going to be great. Make sure you come back on Tuesday for our Week 1 recap to see how we did on predictions and just breaking down how the week went overall, and also a new AP rankings analysis. That's going to come out next week as well. And, of course, obviously, like I said earlier, we've had a wardrobe change. We've had scenery changes. It's going to continue like this. You just got to bear with us, but the content's not going to change. College football is back in full force, and we're going to bring it to you all week and all season long. So as always, please go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert for extra behind-the-scenes news and extra analysis. Also on Instagram for also some behind-the-scenes stuff at The Gridiron Expert, and always here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.